I don't even know what attempt I'm on at recording this. I don't think I want to know. This better be the final fucking attempt. You see, people are dense. We operate on emotion. We're emotional creatures, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Now, what's the problem with emotions? Is that they give us shitty decision-making processes. As I'm sure you read by the title, 90% of the world's fucking problems wouldn't exist if we could just set aside our egos and keep our shit in check, alright? I'm not even going to go into the fucking shit behind this, it's whatever. Let's say someone insults your mum, okay? Terrible. You should go beat them up, right? No. Why? Well, why don't you beat them up? They insulted your mum. Well, hey, we live in a society. But no, that's not the point. What the point is that, why do you think they insulted your mum? It's because they're operating on the basis of emotion. It's because they are being emotional. It's because they have an objective that is somehow related to their emotional capacities. Or maybe they're thinking totally logically. It doesn't matter. Whatever the case is, they are instilling an emotional reaction in you. So, what do? Do you operate emotionally and do what I'm sure you'd want to do, which is go beat them up? Well, then they're going to operate emotionally. It never ends. So then what do? Well, you can feel however you feel, sure, but then you got to make the right decision, which is to not beat them up, to realize they're probably operating on the basis of emotion, but even if they weren't, they're just being a fucking idiot, so who cares? Okay, it doesn't matter. You can swallow that little bit of pride. That's just an example. But then what about, there's a new fancy car that came out and you really, really want it because maybe one of your mates got an even nicer car. So what are you going to do? You're going to go and take out a loan on a depreciating asset that also has fueling and maintenance costs? You probably shouldn't, because that's a really dumb idea. Why did you get that idea? Oh, it's because you're operating on emotion. You will end up in a never-ending cycle of getting back at someone and then them getting back at you, or making a decision that then makes you feel like shit, and then from you feeling like shit, making another decision that will then make you feel like shit. You see, operating on the basis of emotion not only makes the world worse because it perpetuates complete, utter bullshit, vapid nonsense that just takes away from the experience that is living, it also completely fucks you over. Because it's going to make you feel like shit. Because most decisions that are made when you are emotionally charged are terrible ones. So, maybe you don't know what to do. What do you make? What do you do? Take a step back and think, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? And if that conclusion comes to it is because you have an emotional motivation to, then chances are, don't fucking do it. Okay? The world will be so much better if people just didn't, and your life will probably improve a hell of a lot when you kind of realize that, hey, even the temporary satisfaction of fucking someone over who you really don't like will inevitably bite you in the ass when they do the exact same thing. It's almost like that saying of people telling you to be the bigger man or to not stoop down to their level. It's pretty much that, except actually put into practice, because, you can say that, but it doesn't actually mean anything because it's really easy to say, really hard to do. No, what I've just explained is why you don't fucking do that. Because it's a terrible decision. Don't fucking do that. Thank you. Now, I swear to God, if this doesn't fucking come out right, I'm going to shit bricks. Okay, I have a bit more to add, and I'm running out of sunlight, so I better do this quick. I just want to provide other examples, because it goes a little bit deeper than what I've explained. So I've explained the surface-level decision-making process, right? But it goes deeper to the point where it actually defines who we are as people. Let's take the Andrew Tate fans. I don't know what they're called, the top Gs. Or let's also take, hard right conservatives, and this mainly applies to this generation because, internet. Or let's say, for example, the extreme communist fucking leftist, or the high feminist, or the people who are really big into the LGBTQ stuff. Why are they doing that? They can say as much as they want, it's because logically I think this and I think that. But no, in reality, the reason they do it is because it further informs their emotions. It feeds into what they want to believe. Because what we want to believe is that we're the best, or that we're doing the right thing. Whether or not we actually are doesn't matter, because we want to believe that we are. In the same way, someone could become a personal trainer and train 10 clients and they get really good results. If they don't feel like they're doing a good job, well, it doesn't fucking matter to them, does it? Because to people, the only thing that matters is how they feel. And that will always remain the case, but I just want you to question, in order to preserve feeling good, you need to analyze your decision-making process, which is also fed in by how you feel. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to get to, so why did I mention, you know, the fucking top G, feminist, communist, blah, 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 blah? Well, it's because those people are shaping their identities around these things that they have formed emotional connections to. Like, oh, I'm sure you can go like, but men have the highest suicide rates, or, women are abused more by men than men are women. Like, yeah, those are statistics, and they're really, well, actually, they suck. They're terrible statistics. I wish it wasn't like that. But it's funny, because those statistics are likely that way because people are operating on the basis of emotion. But irregardless of that, you are using those things to entrench your identity. And you are doing it because it makes you feel good. What happens when you have a piece of evidence that is contrary to what you believe? Do you think people are just irrefutable, reliable sources of making informed decisions and factual, evidence-based processes and decision-making, blah, blah? No, people are not. And so if you think that you are some sort of pillar of absolutism and the right guy if you are on the left or on the right, or if you're a top G, or if you really like one fucking video game, or if you really hate chess players for some reason, you're operating on the basis of emotion, and you'd likely be a hell of a lot happier if you, get this, actually got a personality and stop trying to form your identity based upon the things that give you some sort of emotional response, some sort of emotional thing to grip onto. Because in reality, most people these days have nothing to grip onto. They have nothing. They fucking they go through this hellscape of a fucking of a societal system that we have now and search for little scraps and bits to stick to themselves, to form an identity. They don't make it themselves. They take it from somewhere else. Which is why you get these stupid fucking people. Well, I mean, they're not stupid. That's actually a common misconception. Most people are actually really smart, which sucks because that puts in a hell of a lot more nuance than it would be otherwise, and people hate nuance. But these people create an identity based upon these things because of how it makes them feel, not because of what is actually true to their inner identity. We are letting our emotions rule our lives in a way that I don't think we ever have before, and it is shaping us into less of people and more of caricatures. Which is ironic considering that we try and shape other people into being caricatures to make it really easy to make some sort of tribal arrangement of us versus them. So in summary, people who operate emotionally will generally make shitty decisions that will then make them feel worse, but people are also building their identities off of shitty decision making and emotional attachment that is not only stealing from what their true identity would otherwise be, but is also actively hindering them, as it will therefore repeat the cycle of enforcing decision making that then makes them feel bad, which makes them make more shitty decisions. If you are some sort of group that you think you are right and they are wrong, I'm not going to say you're necessarily wrong, I'm just saying that you need to apply a hell of a lot more nuance than you currently do, because the reality is that these black and white scenarios that we've all come up with in order to make it really easy to categorize people into certain groups to compare ourselves to, because we're terrible at that, we compare ourselves to each other all the time. We can compare ourselves to them and say, oh, well, I'm way better than them, so I must be doing well, while you are actively neglecting the parts of your life which will actually give you some sort of fulfillment, like, I don't know, actually having some sort of personality, rather than just being a fucking regurgitation of shit that you've collected across wherever you've collected it from. Ta-ta.